Welcome to our 5 on 5. Pleased to welcome in Amy Baker, the Director of Pharmacy for Rogue Community Health. Amy, good to see you. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to talk about you were recently in Florida in the aftermath of Hurricane Irma. How did you get involved with the Disaster Medical Assistance Team?
When I was doing my residency on Maui, I got recruited by the pharmacist on the team at the time. Had no idea it existed before that. And just started training with him. I mean, the application was a long process, but yeah.
And is this the first time you deployed with the team?
No, I deployed in 2012 for Hurricane Sandy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did Irma, and you were in Florida or the Florida Keys?
I was in the Key West.
Key West,
for this one.
Okay.
They were very, very different. The first deployment, we went in to an already set up operation. So someone had gone in before us, staged, set up tents, and then started augmentation for the hospital. This time, we staged early because we were going in ahead of the hurricane.
Sure.
So things were changing minute by minute, hour by hour, trying to move actually hundreds of people at the time prior to the storm hitting and making sure that we were safe, that we weren't preventing from evacuees from having rooms in hotels.
Wow.
Very different.
Yeah, okay. And what struck you most about that? Obviously, the circumstances were very different, but what stands out to you most perhaps about Irma and the operation and just everything there with Mother Nature?
I think the austerity of the situation we went in, it was very hot, 120 heat index,
wow.
No electricity, no running water, and just to be flexible and be ready for anything. I mean, we go in knowing that for 2 weeks we could be sleeping on the floor, no electricity, no running water, living off MREs, which are military issue type meals, and just pretty much ready for anything.
Wow. And what kind of work were you doing?
I'm a pharmacist,
Sure.
so I would actually set up the pharmacy. We actually personally put up all the booths or base of operations, the tents, as a team, and then the other pharmacist and I set up the pharmacy. So literally, what's called a cache arrives, and we set up the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah, kind of like my regular job.
Yeah, just very, very different.
And
right?
very
exactly.
quick.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll have much more with Amy in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Amy Baker, the Director of Pharmacy at Rogue Community Health, just back from Hurricane Irma in Florida. And so Amy, how many days were you there exactly?
So every deployment is typically 14 days, and we could get extended beyond that. We were actually doing patient care in the area for 3 days. It takes a lot to mobilize so many people and get everything there, unfortunately. But so 3 days of patient care. We were there for, I think, 5 days total.
All right. And what did you observe happening around you?
We didn't, unfortunately, I say unfortunately, but we didn't get to see a lot of the destruction that was in the area because we were right outside the community college the whole time. But I would like to say that the teamwork that I saw was amazing, despite fatigue and frustrations or anything that came up. Everyone was just willing to do whatever they had to do to help each other out and to make things happen, for the patients especially.
Yeah, tough conditions and obviously tough situation for everybody involved. So you were, as we mentioned, you were there for the Disaster Medical Assistance Team. What do you do now? This is your second deployment. Are you ready to go on a third? How does that work?
So because there have been so many hurricanes, we had to actually pull some people from Harvey into Irma and some Irma into Maria. There is a potential for me to be redeployed. So I was backfill for my old team, Hawaii, which I deployed with at Sandy. So it was kind of like a homecoming for me. And so I have the potential to redeploy as backfill for another team in November.
Okay.
And so there is that possibility.
Okay, and what about professionals like yourself? Obviously you're involved in the medical field, of course, but other professionals. It sounds like there's a lot of people and a lot of opportunities for people to get involved in helping in these kind of situations. So
DMAT is actually hiring for the first time in 4 years. So physicians, nurses, nurse practitioners, respiratory therapists, pharmacists, and paramedics. And then also FEMA, which is a separate agency, has their version of first responders, accountants and logistics and operations people who can sign up, who have their day-to-day job like myself. But in the case of these disasters, they need to deploy so many people 24 hours a day. And so people need to be willing to leave their home and their job for up to 2 weeks and up to 30 days sometimes. But it's wonderful to be of service and to be part of such a huge team.
Well, good for you, and I'm glad you're doing it. Obviously, it's very impressive. Thank you so much for coming in and tell us about it.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.